let's have start the conversation with Sanasi. So Sanasi, while promoting this Smartcast Live, uh, we were wondering what caption to give for you, right? Because like most people, I choose to think you do so many different things. So for this episode, we chose the caption of Smartcast editor, YouTube editor. And 1 year back, if we were to have this conversation, we could not have used that caption because that was not something it was part of your portfolio, I choose to think. So tell me a little bit about the last 1 year. What has changed? How did you acquire this label of YouTube editor and Smartcast editor for Choose to Think? So let's start the journey a year back.
So I think when it comes to video journeys, the last year has been the year of the video, because I think everyone has added that to their CV. Good, I mean, at least have done videos in the past 1 year. I think from small kids to elderlies, everyone knows now how to Zoom and how to, or the difference between Meet and Zoom and all these apps, which I think came up only a year ago. And I think when the lockdown started, especially in India, our idea was to how can we communicate with our viewers and our clients using this medium in innovative ways. So we came with our sister brand, which is a quizzing brand. We did a lot of live quizzes every day, and that enabled us to get at ease with video and also to discover the power of the medium, because uh, with everyone being comfortable with video, it was time that just became a sort of a natural organic shift to communicating to them via video. So we tried it out, and we just got a little bit better over the year, I think. So
Yeah. In fact, there has been a lot of changes for everyone in the last 1 year. But since we had always been working remotely or in a distributed manner right from 2014, for us the change was not like it was for everyone, which was to start working from home, adopt these tools, start using online communication tools. For us, the big change was turning on our videos, because from 2014 till 2019, we were very, very comfortable having the occasional meeting, and we don't have too many meetings anyway, of doing these meetings either in person or with our videos completely turned off. So I remember what a big switch it was to keep our videos on, and go from not just our audios but also seeing each other's faces more often. I think that was a big shift. And since you mentioned that that period between, I think, April to June, July, where I think you, especially, and a couple of our other colleagues, Ankita and Omkar, you got a crash course in doing videos. You were doing videos practically every day. These were live videos, and it was really kind of learning. Every 12 hours you were learning something new. So it was fairly crazy, I remember. So you mentioned now that we are comfortable with videos, but was there a phase when you were not so comfortable turning on the video? And what changed in your attitude towards video? Or were you always the kind that was comfortable in front of a camera?
no, actually, I'm still not. So it's not something that comes easy. And I don't think it always gets better with practice. Though our colleague Harish would probably say, or you would probably say that it does get better because you have done a lot of video interviews. It's definitely not easy. But I can tell you that fixing a few things which make us most uncomfortable, and if we have a checklist of those that do, and fixing those particular ones do help you in becoming, say, not so conscious of how the video is and focusing more on why are you going to use the video. So I remember at the initial stages when we were doing these live sessions, when at a point there were like 80, 90 people who were tuning in live, and we didn't know small things like how to turn the annotations off, and you have some people writing on it, some people turning on the videos. So even managing how to conduct a session online was a big learning curve. And turning your own videos on is something, it's just gets a little better with practice. But you fix a few things and then you get into that mold where you're very comfortable and you're able to focus on what you want to say rather than how you look, or what can you do to make it better. I think if you see our old videos, I was for this I was just looking at one of our first screenshots that I'd taken of all of us, and now it's such a big difference that I think if we could do it, I don't think we any of us are any good at video making or any of the sort. So if we could do it, I think it's in any man's journey. Anyone can really achieve it.
Right. So I want to dig into some of these principles, these little tips that we have tried to keep in mind. But uh, before that, let me also ask a couple of questions to establish the foundation of, like you said, uh, a lot of this, almost everything has been self-taught, and we've done the equivalent of learning to, to cycle, which is to kind of fall, get bruised a few times, and say, no, I don't want to do this anymore, and then coming back, then just kind of dusting ourselves off and coming back the next day. So uh, I think there have been three broad categories of videos that we've done. One is the videos that we've had conversations, which we started calling smartcasts. We started doing a lot of live sessions. We also started doing these internal recordings for sharing information, or started recording some of our calls. So before we get into all of this, uh, in one of your recent tweets, you described video making or using video as the next writing. So can you elaborate on that a little bit more? Do you think it is important for everyone listening or watching us right now to seriously add this to their quiver of skills? Because just like they would need to have a basic level of writing, do you think it's video is going to be the same?
Yeah, I thought so in the last a couple of months at least, because I remember one time when you, Ramanand, you wanted to show us something on how to do something. And normally you would write a guideline or you would write it down. That day you just ended up recording it. And it was so easy to understand. You just recorded your screen and your instructions were on audio, and we could all do it very easily, much better than reading. Same thing happened with a friend of mine. She was asking for a recipe, and she wasn't so good at writing it out. So I said, just record it while you were doing it and just give a voiceover of what you're doing, and it's done. Same thing I found with kids learning, with a lot of instructions which people were using audio to send messages on their phones rather than typing it out. So within their windows as well. So I think this whole idea of so I think it's very similar, writing and video making, but because we have now become less good at reading something out, especially something that is throwaway. You're not going to need to go back to it or refer to it. It's just quick information that you want, and even if you forget it, it's okay. So that kind of material video is going to work much better because it's easy to produce.
Hmm.
Typing, writing needs some conscious thought and logical reasoning. Video is just very intuitive. So from a production point of view, it's going to be very easy to make a video rather than convert it to a text and send it. And I think that's why it's going to be very, very important going ahead. I won't be surprised if this, in fact, this 1 year itself is going to change a lot of internal communication also, and messaging within, even informal messaging might
Hmm.
turn to video quite rapidly.
Right. And I think we've definitely seen in the last 1 year, a lot of teachers have had to very rapidly switch over to video-based instructions, right? We see that almost daily at home. And I think a lot of credit must go to teachers and schools. With all their constraints, they've kind of managed to do this. And I know you are connected to the teaching community. You kind of have friends who are teachers. So before we kind of go ahead, uh, are they, I mean, tell me a little bit of what you've learned from watching them trying to make the best for their students in terms of delivery communication using video.
So to be honest, I haven't been in the classroom sort of scenario watching the videos. But in the few instances that I've noticed while going in and out of the room, is teachers have found this innovative mixed mediums
Hmm.
to communicate. Like for instance, when kids log in, a lot of them would ask, what chapter is it, what lesson is it, all the time. And every time there was someone delayed joining in, the teacher was repeating herself. So I remember her writing it on the wall behind her and sticking a paper saying this chapter, this page number. So this intuitive thing of, I am there, I'm using the video, but it's like creating a painting. You don't have to just use crayons or just
Hmm.
use your pencils, you can mix these things up. You can, or even when school started this idea of having exams and keeping your, I think, remember in the first term, they couldn't figure out how to ensure whether kids are taking help or whether they're doing it on their own. And then by second term, they had said, like, guys, just keep your cameras on.
Mm.
And it works. So now they know whether, at least it's a step better. So over time, they figured it out. And I think that's why I think video is very intuitive, because if you just play with it enough, you're going to find out ways to make it easier and easier to communicate using it.
Right. Great. So now get into a few of these principles and these tips that we have acquired along the way. So let's say I'm a rookie. I'm not so confident about video, but I want to give it a shot. Maybe I want to think about sending videos to my colleagues or friends, and then maybe using it to build as what we call social capital, which is to kind of record interviews, do short podcast style episodes, or do a how-to video and post it on a YouTube channel. So let's say that's what I'm kind of interested in. So what would you advise me in terms of getting started? What should I be thinking about? So what is my first step?
So you'll be making two kinds of videos. One, either it'll be where you're going to be talking and your face and you are basically the visual that is there in the video. So those are one kind of videos. The other kind of videos are ones that are going to be instruction based, which is giving you information. So teachers and everyone might be using those kind of, which is sort of a video version of a PowerPoint, say. In both those, you might need slightly different things, or rather the quality of things that you use might be slightly different. So I'll go over both. One, if you're for any video, basically, you are going to need two things. One is visuals and one is the audio. Now, so far, your computer has the tools to capture both in different ways. And you need a third thing, which is a video editor, which is basically a way to stitch those two together. Now everyone actually already has something in their arsenal which does this for you, and which is your PowerPoint or Keynote or Google Slides, which everyone has. And that already does it for you to a certain extent, only that it's not so efficient at mixing both the visual and the audio elements together. So for a very basic, really basic level video, and now that you have your Zoom and any of these recording softwares, especially Zoom, where you can record yourself, you can record just an audio, you can record each other. It's a fantastic medium to get your visual in place. So when you have these three things, the easiest way to do it is via a PowerPoint. So if you have instructional videos, especially, think of it as a PPT that you're going to make and put all your content on slides. Now you can decide whether you want to insert the audios there itself, or you want to record the audio layer separately, which could again be on your mobile phone, it could be on a Zoom call, or it could be within the PowerPoint itself. And then you just mix the two together, which again you can do it in PowerPoint. I remember I'd done a video for a friend entirely on PowerPoint without having much of an issue, because it has all the features. But if you want something which is a face oriented video where you are talking or you're interviewing someone, then Zoom, or I think Zoom is the only thing right now, but you can use Zoom as the best option to record it. And then in your post production, which is a minor step, but it is not that difficult, you're just going to stitch all these elements together. So if you have put your text either as a PPT or as a image, and you have your video, literally in your video editor you'll have three sort of lines, one for audio, one for pictures, and one for video. And you're just going to drag and drop it and put it in one stream and render it, which is basically saving it, converting it to a MP4 format. So for any beginner, I would say just put all your, if it's an instructional thing, just put all your text, whatever visuals you want to make, in a slideshow. If you want it a video version where your face is the thing that is going to be the visual, just record yourself, whether it's on an internal camera or whether it's using Zoom, and then open your video editor. You have, all computers will generally have a native one. If not, there are free ones online that you can use, and just find a way to stitch those two together and end it. That's the easiest sort of way to go about it.
Right. So, if I can just recap the tools that you mentioned, one is some kind of a presentation software. You can go with PowerPoint, Keynote, or Google Slides, or other cloud-based slide presentation formats. Then there is a phone or a machine that has a camera, can record sound. Then you could also use to record, you can use a native app on your device, or you could use Zoom to capture all of this. Zoom gives you video and audio. And I think you mentioned off the shelf editors as well. Can you give us an example or a name of couple of these editors, if you can think of them?
So I think there's something called invideo.io, which
Mhm.
is I might even I'll send you the list also later to the participants. There's InShot. There are, if you just Google a couple of them, you will see different ones that are available. You might have, if you're on Apple MacBook or any of these, you have your iMovie on. So if you can, if you're willing, if you want to do this seriously and get a license, then Sony Vegas is, I think, one of the really good ones. Adobe Suite will have a couple of video editors as well. So it really depends on how much you're going to invest in this. But even if you want to do a free version, there are a couple online which you can just look up. I think InShot and InVideo are two of them which you can use. If you're going to do it on a mobile phone, you have even more apps that you can use. Just look for one which doesn't leave a watermark on your video. And there are those as well, which are free and they don't leave a watermark on your video.
Right. So now what I want to do is I just want to go through the different stages of recording and putting together a video, irrespective of what you know uh, uh, theme or topic that we have in mind, or style of video that we have. So, uh, so when we start, before you actually start recording, what do you need to get in place? Let's go one by one. So, one of the most you know underrated aspects of producing a video is the surroundings. What you have in your background, uh, the noises, the sounds, the silence around you. So tell me a little bit about a location for recording a video where, say, you are in the screen, you're not using slides. How does one go about choosing a good location? Uh, and what should the background be like?
So, in my experience, what I've learned is simply raising your laptop to an eye level makes a world of difference in how you look on video. So, I would recommend that as the first thing you do is just to arrange books or whatever you need to just bump up your laptop. At no point should you, I mean, right now also I might be looking down because you have these sort of adjustments you have to make. But if you're going to record a professional looking sort of video which you want to send it to someone or post it online, just raise the camera to the eye level. That and make sure you are filling sort of 3/4 of the frame at least, and not too far and not too. And sometimes if you're interviewing someone, try to match the other person so that both don't look as if they are one is too close and one too far. In the backgrounds, from what I've read, is having a natural light flood the room is your best bet to looking really good. The advantage, you might have noticed this even when you have a camera on your phone which is not so good or which has become old. It takes pictures much better when there's bright daylight and not so much when there's lesser light or when there are shadows. The other advantage of natural lighting is that there won't be any shadows in your background. So, number one, I would say just put your camera at eye level. Number two is flood it with natural light if you can. If you don't have a natural light, just make sure you have a light in front of you and not behind you. So, front light will fall on your face. And to avoid, in case you can hear, I mean, if you see the back shots of all these really good looking videos that you see on TV, if you see sort of the making of video of those, they are like surrounded by lights, and lighting is the one thing that really makes the videos look better. Obviously we may not have all that, but just having a light in front, avoiding a light at the back, and perhaps to just counter a front artificial light, you can have 45-degree angle lights at the sides. If not, just open your curtains, let the light come in. When it comes to the background, there are this is just from observations. I've realized that bookshelves are like the in thing, but it's very difficult to have a good looking bookshelf. I mean, you really need to have that aesthetic artistic eye to make your bookshelf look good. So if you're really a book sort of a person who wants a bookshelf in the background, just look up nice looking bookshelves and imitate it. Some must don'ts are that if you happen to have written a book, don't put it in your background. Don't use your background to plug your book or to plug your no, especially face up. It and just keep all your books vertically aligned. Mix it up with frames and pots and stuff like that. But even more than that, ignore the bookshelf part. What looks good in your background is contrasts.
Mm.
So if you have even if you have a plain wall, that's okay if you don't have any shadows. If it is giving you an even sort of a look, even that is fine. If you don't have some sort of contrast at the back, which is say a light one pictured with a darker color or some sort of contrast that looks good, and try to wear solid colors yourself so that you stand out against whatever is there in your background. And art and plants, like all of us know, they work really well. So invest in a good plant. It has never been, it's a good time to go green and have some plants indoor plants in your house. They do look good.
Right. So few things that we have tried to keep in mind after you know, opened our eyes to them was one to try and look at the camera, even if I think unfortunately, given laptops, you tend to look you at the material on your screen or at the face because you naturally like I'm looking at your face right now on my machine, but that actually takes me away from your camera. So I have to kind of try to train myself to look at the camera, even if you are out of just at the edges of my peripheral vision, but it just looks better when the final output comes in, or it looks less bad. The other thing I think you told us to do was to experiment with different parts of the house and try and see where the light falls. And it's hard. I think none of our houses were built with uh, this use case in mind, and so we can only do the best we can. And plus you will have different times of the day when you have different lighting conditions, and at some point I think it is not, I mean, would you agree that it is not worth obsessing over it because uh, you want the content or what you actually want to do with the video to act, not be secondary to all these other things which are very hard for an individual to just get absolutely perfect, right?
It's a very loaded question, and I would love to say no, it doesn't matter. But I'll tell you what I think. We don't have to look great. We can't
Mm,
compete with Michelle Obama or any of those people. But there are ways in which you can look better than just it's like dressing up nowadays.
mm,
You don't have to go outright and get something jazzy. Like I said, even a plain wall works. It's there in your house. It's there in your surroundings. It's just a question of adjusting your light and your the positioning of your thing. But what happens is often when there is something distracting in the background that is off, as a viewer, you're used to watching television and that is all made up. And your brain sort of learns to expect that pattern when you're watching videos. And if something is not matching to that pattern, what happens is that the background becomes more distracting than what you're seeing. So even if your content is really what matters, try to make a background which is not going to distract people from your content. So like a moving fan, a shadow of a moving fan, these are going to distract. It is like looking into something which is moving, which is sort of bringing that attention to you. So don't try, it's obviously doesn't matter at the end of the day, but if you can neutralize it in some way, it is going to help.
all right. So very quick word on equipment before we move to the next stage. So tell me a little bit about audio equipment, things like webcams. Have you tried some experiments? Have you seen other people? Have you read something about what's the right equipment to get, or is our laptop, phone just good enough?
I think when it comes to cameras, the laptop cameras are good enough unless you have obviously a problem with your camera. But then you can get any sort of good HD webcam and do with it. Audio is a problem because first of all, you don't know how you're sounding. So you have to try out different things. Ambience noise, again, you don't catch it. But when you're watching the recording, you notice that, wow, this was really loud, or, I didn't expect this to happen. Close all the windows if you can. Try to come up with a sound room, and even if it feels hot, turn off these humming noises in the background, like a exhaust fan or a fan. And you invest in a good mic. I would really recommend. I think we saw it with our own Smartcast that just changing the microphone, especially. see, videos we can't really do much. It's not, it's going to be that's a limitation to how much we can do to look visually good. And like, if we are all beginners, even the post production level, you're not going to be able to do much to the video. But audio is something you control, and especially if you're keen on the content reaching people, it has to sound loud, it has to sound clear, and it shouldn't have any noise I mean, the white noise or any crackle and stuff. So I think it doesn't cost more than 800, 900 rupees. These good kind of microphones, the lapel mics, or even the small ones that you get. Just check out Amazon, look at the ones that are rated very high, but do invest in a good microphone.
All right. And as a editor, having to deal with the videos that we make and with all the errors and the noise that we don't realize, is there a pet peeve that you always run into, that you always have to kind of compensate for among all the different pet peeves that we give you to do?
Audio has to be the one, and that's why I think maybe I'm saying invest in a good mic, because uh, at post production, I can tell you, as all of us are beginners, like I said, it's like having stitching a dress, and now it's ready. You can probably alter it a little bit. You can't change it much. Post production is meant to be only to sort of fix little issues. You can't fix major issues, especially not with all these free softwares that we use. We are not Bollywood level editors, so try to fix all the problems during the recording itself. You can record small clips and see how you sound like or how you look like, and just have a small rehearsal before you do the rest. But try to fix all the problems, and do fix your audio. I think that's the pet. The other, obviously, if I have to really nitpick, it's movement in the backgrounds, or people touching the laptop while talking so that it moves up and down, or rocking your chair, moving, these sort of things sort of do yeah, but I mean, at one point you just let it go, you can't fix them. uh, but yeah, this kind of audio
That
you
kind of
can
noise,
definitely
yeah.
do away
And
with.
remember to turn your phone off before the episode starts. Correct. So all these things do happen, and I think we've seen our share of glitches, everything from networks to unexpected occurrences, or people having to change location midway. I think we've seen a wide variety of them. So the more you do, the more you learn about what to put in your checklist at the beginning of the video.
In
So
fact,
Sanasi, yeah,
sorry,
go ahead. Yeah.
just a reminder of what there was a trick that I think Omkar came up with, or one of our colleagues, Omkar, came up with, was to record the audio at the same time on your phone or on your internal computer uh, recording device. So even if on Zoom you miss something, you still have that audio, which is going to be of a much better quality, because you're using your local mic and storing it on a local level. And I think that's one thing is really worth trying out, especially if you have a patchy internet connection. Do the audio yourself, because audio, once it is clean, video you can manage to move it around and fix it. So
Okay. Yeah, for our participants watching, listening, if you have any questions for Sanasi, please do use the chat and tell us so that we can get some of that resolved. So Sanasi, I want to quickly ask a question about the actual recording, and let's take Zoom as an example. Uh, Typically, when we set up a Zoom call with the purpose of recording so that we can put it up, say, on YouTube or distribute it later, just tell me a few of the typical settings that we keep in mind, or the setup that we do for Zoom, so that we can uh, record it, we can collect the video later, and it's ready for as an input to post production. So tell me about the standard Zoom settings that you like to start with.
okay, so let's assume you have a free Zoom account and not a pro account. You're going to have 45 minutes to record. So for starters, your content has to be less than 30 minutes, because 45, 15 minutes here and there, you need some room. If you're planning to record a longer video, plan a sort of a consciously a break so that you can stop at 30 minutes and restart the recording, because I mean, for those of you who don't know, Zoom is going to stop in 45 minutes, your single meeting, if you're on a free account. Now, if you're doing a recording which is if you're doing a recording which is for with a lot of other people, like hundreds of other people, do insist that everyone turns off their video. I think it is now a feature which enables you to, earlier it wasn't there and we dealt with it, and turn off your annotations, because then if it is being attended by a lot of people, that's the most important setting, because that's one thing where it really can ruin your video. To record it yourself, you choose, try to record it on your local computer instead of on the cloud. Again, it will be much better, faster. That's again my experience. And with a Zoom recording, when you're downloading your recorded meetings, you actually have all the views that are there in the so even if you have been on a speaker view in Zoom, when you're downloading the files, Zoom gives you all the three.
So when you mean all the views, can you tell us what the other views are?
So there's one where suppose you're talking, I'm talking, the camera goes back and forth. Now that's really useful because now they have done the work for you. Now you don't have to edit it back and forth. But suppose you are doing an interview where you want to see the reactions of both the people, or there are four people and you want them to be remain in the picture. Then there's a view where even if the speaker is speaking, you get the other speakers as well. Or if there is a slideshow come a speaker, you have that view as an alternate view as well. And either at post production, or even if you just want to use one of them, it gives you those options to choose from. So those are basically when you download the files from Zoom, whether you have recorded it on the cloud. If it's local, I think you'll anyway have those. But if you're downloading it from the cloud, make sure you're downloading all of them. There's also an audio version that you can have on your own. And I think the other things that for Zoom would be to just if you have any viewers around who are watching in but they're not going to be a part of your video, there's a view which tells you that you should record only the speaker and not show the others. So choose. I think spend some time just going over all the Zoom little Zoom things and try a small sample and download it and see how it looks, and then you can proceed.
All right. Thank you. So let's now go ahead in the process. We finished recording our video. It could be a conversation like we are having right now, or it's just a solo performance. What happens next? So when we give you, we tell you the recording is done, you have all the video files with you. Typically, what do you do from that point onwards?
So it changed over time. Again, it is your choice. Whether if it's a small one, there are tons of effects that you can add to it. Whether you want to add say an intro and an exit, and I think the first and the last bits of your video are the most important. The first is definitely the most important. Now, if you're looking to attract viewers to your video, there are different rules about how to go about it. Again, you can just go over them. You need to catch them in the first 20 seconds. You need to increase your retention. Don't, whatever they have come there for, don't put it out right away. Put it in the middle or towards the end so that they stay there longer. Again, these are why you want to, I mean, depends on why you want to make that YouTube video. But let's assume you're not going to make a YouTube video just to monetize it or just to earn money out of just the video itself. Let's say you want to make this video for putting out your content, or attracting people who are going to use your content in a very sort of, you're not looking for great numbers, but you're looking for sharing information. So in that case, when a video comes to me, I am looking at basic thing is the cleanup. If especially if the person who has done the interview, or while doing the interview, they've kept notes on what the outtakes were, that there was a pause, somebody moved at this point, there was a outtake at this point, the audio went off at this point. It really helps in the post production process to find them and sort of spot them and clean it. So one is the cleanup. The other is introducing your intro and the end. Any video editor will have a little music that you may want to add at the start and end. Here is where I would say that you don't get into this. So you have these text options in video editors where you can add text to videos using the video editor itself. I think it's the most difficult and painful thing to do. So as much as possible, avoid adding text to your video. If you want to add text to your video, add it separately as an image and then insert the image, because generally all these video editors are really good at handling images. they're not so good at handling text. You won't have that sort of variety or that ease with text as you would find with a normal text editor. So instead, just make an image of the one that you want to insert, and then you are at ease because there are 4 5 ways in which you can insert that image onto your screen. So that's what I often do at the post production stage. Wherever I want to add a text, or I generally change it to an image and then insert it. And then the final thing is a render, which is basically what I mean, visually I imagine it as just, you've put your sticker onto your t-shirt and now it's the final thing. We're just going to iron it so that it becomes all one. And always remember that the render takes as long as the video itself. So if you have a 1 hour video, in most chances the render is going to take 1 hour to finish. So that's the final thing, and then you're done. So what helps here again is notes while the interview or while the video was on, of anything that you want it inserted, you want it taken out. Sort of having a board that says all that, a list that says all that, will help you.
Right. So, uh, one more thing I wanted to ask was that what editing software do you use in your particular case?
So I use iMovie,
Mhm,
but it's again, I would, I mean, I've used Sony Vegas before. That has been the one that trained me in video.
mhm.
iMovie is a sort of a little clunky version of that, but both are really good. I mean,
All
they
right.
do the job well.
So, in a typical editing tool, what are the 2 3 things that a beginner needs to start getting familiar with if they want to, produce something from the input raw recording that they've got? So, what should they start learning?
So I think with all sort of graphic or visual editing things that you do, it's very useful to know the keyboard shortcuts.
Hmm,
You can't use a mouse largely. You can use the mouse to drag and drop or to sort of adjust it. But when it comes to starting, stopping, split, so you will have these clips.
hmm,
And now in across all the editors, the keyboard shortcuts are generally the same. This is to enable the ease across the boards, and I probably there are some standards that I don't know, but generally you'll have a bar that is running, and when you start it with your the space bar is used to start the process, and to stop it again you use the same thing. And you know how you'll be cutting those clips across different positions, and where you cut it is where you're going to mostly put in either another video. So you'll generally have only in a limit, I mean in a basic video editor software, you're just going to have 1 track for video,
hmm,
probably 2 tracks for audio, and you're going to have 1 track for images. This is the max that you're going to get. It's maybe you might have extra audio tracks, but you're going to have only 1 track for a video. You won't have something, or 2 tracks maybe, which you can use as a split between two. So the things to know are how to split clips, how to remove them, and the fineness to which you can actually do it. So uh, you'll soon know that while playing it, again with your space bar is what you do. If you really zoom into that clip, you'll be able to know the exact way where you want to cut it.
hmm,
You'll see the graph where the audio goes really at its bottom, and that's where you're going to cut it, because that's going to enable you to stitch it back to a previous clip as much as possible. If you have done any outtakes, it really helps if you make a clap or a
hmm,
khatak noise, because in the graph it shows that spike, and then even visually you know where you're going to click it. So whenever you're starting a new clip, you've made a mistake and you're restarting it, have that clap sound or any sharp sound which will enable you to find it in a long clip. And I think that's and inserting the audio
hmm,
when you're inserting. So you'll be inserting audios and you'll be inserting pictures. So when you insert audios, there are these endpoints which you can drag and drop to determine at what volume you want the audio to come in and at what volume you want it to exit, how you want the audio to move up and down during, like for instance, right now we are talking, I want the audio really a cool jazzy music at the back which is really low. But suppose we are going to end and we are going to say hi, bye, thanks for being here, and then you want the audio to go up, so that there's a curve graph that enables you to, it's just a question of putting it up and down, sliding, but that does give the feel of a nicely done package to have at the start and the end. And for inserting pictures, you're going to know these terminologies, which is a cutaway, which means that the video is going to go from you to the picture and back, or a split. So you can split your screen either halfway like this or halfway like that, and the image is going to be a part of that. So if you actually design the image in such a way, knowing how you're going to split the screen, so if you want to put a ticker at the bottom, you would want to split the screen vertically, so your image will be completely seen. And then there's this way of inserting that image onto it, so that you can put a logo here or you can put a ticker. And these are really, it's like PowerPoint, literally it's drag and drop. So if you know these four basic things in a video editor, you will be able to create a decent looking video for sure.
All right. So now we have finished our editing. We are happy with it. We've done all that we wanted to do with it. We've used YouTube to be the place where we host our videos before we send them out in the world. So uh, tell me a little bit about the YouTube publishing process in a nutshell. What is it like, and what are the few things that you try to keep in mind before you distribute the URL to that YouTube video?
So it's super easy to be on YouTube. No wonder there are so many videos. It's just your regular Gmail account which you use to log in on YouTube, and you get a little create button which you just, so your video is ready. It's on your computer. You just have to upload it on YouTube, and then you give your headline. In the description, you probably give a little more, which links you back to your website or any other information that you want to share. And uh, it's really, so it's just a list of things that YouTube asks you. One is whether it's made for kids or not. And one thing we have to be careful on YouTube is the music that you use, because you like something, you like a famous song and you insert it in, you're going to be flagged with a copyright notice. And I think now they have these strikeouts, which a couple of times you do it. And so they make sure I forgot to add that, make sure the audio that you use throughout is copyright free, because otherwise it'll, or you can just buy it. The ones that come with your editing software are free to be used, even if they are flagged. So over time the notice just goes away, because it is part of uh, the suite that you have been using. It's a problem if you have been using a what do you call those pirated versions, then you'll be in. So but they have all the things in place. And I know people who have got notices from Disney and stuff like that. So I don't think that, I'm sitting here in a small lane, what is Disney going to come? They do come, and maybe it's to scare you, but just make sure that all your stuff is copyright free, and or rather you have the copyright for it. When you're uploading it on YouTube, those are the three things. There are forms, and then at the second layer you have these cards, which is basically whether you want to insert another video at the end. This is a play of 5 seconds at the end. So towards the last 5 seconds, if of your video, try to add a blank screen with make sure your content gets over 5 seconds before your actual video gets over, so that gives you the space on YouTube to add any extra elements that they offer. And they constantly change. They keep adding these new things, where auto captioning, or now it's the new clips that have come out. So it's just, I think, just being there and learning how best you can use the medium. But again, I'm assuming that a lot of people on YouTube are there to monetize it. Like they literally type in how to, and whatever search phrase comes there, they make a video based on that. We are not going to be those kind of people. So don't focus too much on how many likes and subscribes that you have, but on sort of keep on improving your videos so that they do for you what you want them to do.
Right. I've, I think, three odd questions more. One is that typically, how much time do you think one would have to spend? I'm not talking about recording. Recording is straightforward, but in the post-recording phase until you get to publish, typically how many hours? I'm not talking about someone who's obsessing over every minor detail, but to get it to a decent level of that you can show it to the world. So, in your experience, how much time does it take?
So if you're a learner, brand new, I would say plan for 3x. So if your video is 15 minutes, think that it's going to take you 45 minutes to finish it. If you have gotten the hang of it, 2x is what you can expect. So for a basic video post production thing, twice the time that the length of the video is.
Okay, that's a very useful thumb rule. And I also wanted to ask, we've been doing these smartcasts, these videos for I think about 6 odd months now. Um, has it been worth it? Do you see that in terms of getting visibility, getting our point across, attracting an audience which is not in reading our newsletters, because that's what we've had for a very long time as a means of communicating with our audience. So, uh, have you seen any benefits of doing this, or are we just screaming into a void?
So, one surprising lesson I learned, it's not about what is in the video. It's
Hmm,
not, I mean, that's just one part of it. You'll find very few people who actually watch your video right till the end.
hmm,
It's about the topics that you choose.
hmm,
The sort of the first few minutes of how you're talking about it, the thumbnails that you do, and that's something I forgot to mention earlier,
hmm,
which is when you're uploading a YouTube video, it generally randomly chooses something from your clip as the one that will appear on your YouTube. But nowadays, if you see, if you go on YouTube, they're all made. So you can
hmm.
actually create that image, which will act as your thumbnail. So thumbnail will have your topic or your guest or anything of that sort. So these things do matter. I mean, if you're especially if you're trying to create a create a noise or want people to know you better, it's the best way to sort of exactly say what you represent, and having those right, the kind of videos that you produce will tell just from the headline and the content itself, and a few minutes of your video that will really communicate what you are trying to be. And I think it has helped a lot. It has helped reach people a lot more, discover us, take us, maybe, because especially when you're in a space which is very vague, it's you don't know, you can't communicate, it doesn't come in one word or in one phrase what exactly you're offering. This whole essence of what you do is captured very well in videos.
And have we found that some people just prefer video over any other means of consumption?
Uh, I don't know about that, but I've found that a lot of people use this to play it at 2x and
Hmm,
3x, and just they do watch the whole thing at a higher speed. Now, that's
hmm,
something I have never done,
hmm.
and I can't imagine it, but it's a common habit. And so there are people who actually, depend on videos to get their information, sort of use it while doing the dishes, while doing other things and stuff, and they do use video as the means to get all the gyan that they want.
Yeah, in fact, our very first guest on a Smartcast was the writer and podcaster Amit Verma, and that is one tip that he left us with, which is, train your ears to listen to videos at 2x, or audio episodes at 2x, and you'll get a lot more out of it. And you can actually train yourselves to do that. It's not like it's a blur and you can't make out what is happening. Uh, so, folks, if you have any questions for Sanasi, do use the chat, or if you have a comment or an observation, we'd be happy to carry that. Sanasi, one more question for me. What resources would you recommend for people from a learning or just from a inspiration point of view? Uh, whose videos do you like watching, and you can try and take a few tips from? These could be the absolute professionals. These could be amateurs. These are mid-level professionals. So give me some resources that we can point to for people to look up next.
Uh, so if you're doing interviews, I don't know. Graham Norton is, I think, and I forgot his name. Howard Stern, I think. Both of these people, I had mentioned this earlier also when we were talking about something else. They have a very nice way of interviewing people, putting them at ease, and really listening to what they're saying. So if you are into the business of interviews, I would really recommend watching those two and trying to see whether it is something you can do. Visually, there are these YouTube awards now, and they are given out every year to. So the list of those, they really help you. They are really beautifully made videos across the board, and just go through that list of videos which are nominated, which won, and you'll get such an amazing range of ideas and things that you can copy. That is really worth it, especially to suit what you, the kind of video that you want to do. And I think copying is the best. thing that you can do, because there's a limit to how much originality you can show. I mean, if there's a style you like, try it out yourself. If there's a background that you like, if there's a way of presenting content that you like, just use it and try it out. I those are the two interviews I recommend. I don't know any other particular videos that really spring to mind.
Okay. And any educational resources or courses that you've like, encountered?
In on YouTube, you mean, or
No, for whatever we spoke about, any elements of
for
what we
learning?
spoke
For
about, yeah,
learning,
for learning.
um, the creators' videos that YouTube puts out, and even I think what we use, Canva.com, which is I mean, it's just changed things for us, at least
Hmm.
using Canva. It's free. Obviously, there are different layers, but it's enough. I mean, you won't need a designer, you won't need a video editor, especially if you're going to make really short videos and short images to put inside your longer videos. Just use canva.com. I hope they hear me and give me something, but it's
Right. I think
a
it's
job.
fair. Yeah, it's fair to say we are fans of Canva, and it has really helped us get do our work a lot better. And it has also democratized a lot of this. We have often have the idea in our heads, but getting the execution to a degree of polish is difficult, and it's a very steep learning curve. And I think tools like Canva have made it possible for us.
In fact, democratizing sort of triggered the anchor.fm recommendation as well, because they have their mission was to make podcasting as a way to enable anyone to express and get out there. And anchor.fm, if you haven't, just go there. You can make your own podcast, you can record it there itself, you can distribute it there itself, you can insert music, edit it. It's just there for you, it's free. And again, a great way to, in fact, podcasting we didn't speak much about, we spoke about YouTube, but I think everyone should try out a podcast, because everyone knows interesting people. And Harish's podcast, for instance, where he talks to people about just their careers and mid-level, middle-aged, in the middle of your whole career path, the different, and you get to learn so much about little with common people also, that you don't have to be a celebrity to be interviewed. I would rather learn a lot more from people who are just like me, rather than someone who is from a different world with a different background. So just interview people, try it out. It's so much fun and you learn a lot. So not
True.
just with the medium, but from the people as well. So,
Fair, yeah, absolutely. I think you just turn on recording and people are, willing to tell you all sorts of things about them that in an ordinary conversation would have looked very odd and strange. That's something that I think we've learned in the last 6 months when we've done a lot of these smartcasts. So Sanasi, thank you so much. I'm just going to pause and see if we have any questions, any comments from our listeners who've been patiently listening to us and hopefully learned a few things. So, in case you'd like to ask Sanasi a quick question, please do unmute yourself, or if you just have a comment or an observation, or want to share your experience of recording videos, just do tell us, and we would be happy to carry your question. So let me give that 5 seconds. Otherwise, we will end with our customary quiz question. And I have one.
I thought I was spared from that.
No, it's not just you; it's everyone. So don't worry. You have army of supporters to help you out with this. Okay, so I don't think there are any questions, but if you do, you send us to us if you're on our Telegram channel or if you are on our newsletter mailing list. Please do send it, and please do copy a few ideas from our YouTube channel. You can subscribe by searching for Choose to Think. And we've how many videos do we now have, Sanasi? About 20, 30
I don't
odd.
know. I was just going to count today. So we have around 200 odd followers now. So that's for
Okay,
us.
that's not too
Like just
bad. Yeah,
a few
yeah.
months ago. So,
True. Good.
but we
Great.
have more than 50 videos, if I remember it.
Right. Great. All right. So with that, let me come to our closing question. One question, trivia question. And if you know the answer to this, please do use the chat and tell us the answer. So uh, there is a person called Thatcher Hurd. The name of he's an author. The name by itself is not important. So he wrote a children's book called Dash City. Okay, the dash is a 4-letter word, and this became the inspiration for a company to pick up its name from it because the lead investor loved the book, and he said, I'd been saving this name up for to give one of my portfolio companies. And that's how this company got its name. It's connected intimately to our conversation today. So this is just, it's called Dash City, and there is a 4-letter answer to it. Essentially, it's a children's book, and it kind of conveys warm, fuzzy uh, communication sort of vibes from that, which is why he offered this name. So, Sanasi, you can go first, or if you have any of our other listeners who want to take a shot.
Give the listeners a chance to speak.
Absolutely. So, the answer is a 4-letter answer. Okay, that's your hint. You should be able to work that out with it's a 4-letter answer. It's closely tied with what we've discussed today. So Ankita guesses film. It's not film. So they are in a car, these little pups. I think they're some kind of critters. They're dogs, I think. The cover has them on a car and they're kind of driving. Okay. They may be driving at a fair speed. I don't know. Maybe that's connected to the title. This is called Dash City. 4-letter words. 4-letter answer. Zoom is absolutely right, Thanasi. Cracked the secret of how Zoom got its name by an investor. So that's a little trivia for the day. So yeah, I think if Zoom had not come along, we would have found another way to record these videos, but it made it a lot easier to have this conversation. So Sanasi, thank you so much for your time today. I think we learned quite a bit,